legendary dynamic microphone, very sturdy, battle tested.
You're brand loyal.
Yeah, brand loyal. That's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Should we start?
Yeah. Do we have any other choice?
No.
Let's go.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the pod.
Well, welcome back to the whole podcast. This is Rhoda Moore. This is
Casey's in
low energy
today.
1 week of Singapore.
Yeah, 1 week of Singapore later.
Yeah, no, I love Singapore. You know, Singapore's great.
Me too.
Yep.
We have a very special guest. Raph is with us. Young Raph.
Young Raph, as we call him. Yep.
Scooby-Doo.
AKA Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Scooby-Doo himself.
A newly minted lead maintainer of the Ordinals protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bro, how does it feel like to be at the helm now?
Crazy responsibility, of course. Holding the fate of all the degens in the palm of my hand.
Yeah, I know.
Or at the tips of my fingers, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels nice. Like I like the people I work with.
Oh my god, that's so nice. Yeah, we're in Singapore for the Ordinal Summit. That's why we're all gathered, since usually we're not in person with Raph.
Bro, people are wiling out on Ordinals. Just absolutely wiling out. Tokens, DeFi, lending, like truly incomprehensible things that people are building.
I like having you around because I feel like people tell me the things that they're doing and I'm like, okay, like whatever. But then like they talk to you and like you can't hide the way that you feel.
Yeah, bro, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, I'm mostly more diplomatic, you know. I listen to them and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's possible. Somebody Kay's like, oh, that's total shit. You can't do that.
Somebody was telling me that they were doing Bitcoin lending, where you deposit Bitcoin as collateral and then you borrow Bitcoin against your Bitcoin collateral.
Okay, what's the point?
I could not figure it out. in a 15-minute conversation, I could not figure this out because it's like you deposit 2 Bitcoin, you borrow 1.2 Bitcoin,
okay,
and then you pay that 1.2 Bitcoin back, and then you get the 2 Bitcoin back.
Okay.
So why don't you just spend the 1.2 Bitcoin and then rebuy your 1.2 Bitcoin without this extra counterparty risk for your 0.8 Bitcoin?
Maybe it's a tax thing.
No,
Maybe if you lend it, you don't have to pay
didn't
capital gains or anything. I don't know.
Make any fucking sense.
Yeah, the guy who like talked to Casey was like, you've given me a lot to think about.
I'm like, capital gains, like maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. Like I don't know how that all works. In that I know that like in Germany, for example, like if you hold your Bitcoin longer than a year, you don't pay any taxes. Like it's handled as a commodity. And like but in the US, you always have to pay capital gains. You have to like track exactly when you bought which UTXO and when you spend it. It's complicated.
Don't you think that guy would have said that then if that was the?
Yeah, I think so. I think he would have mentioned that.
You know, in his pitch.
Yeah, usually
like, well, this is why it's useful.
Yeah, usually when you borrow, it's either uncollateralized or the 2 assets are different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this was pretty bad.
This seems like the SEC being like, what you doing over there?
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of that this weekend. A lot of that, man. BRC20s, they're hot. People are gonna like trying to integrate BRC20s in the Lightning Network.
Like, yeah,
good
I
luck,
kept
bro.
hearing about that.
Yeah,
we met Domo.
We met Domo.
He was nice.
Yeah, Domo's nice. Nice. Heart is in the right place, I think.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally just created this as like an experiment, just like, oh, let's see what's possible, and people just like took the first best thing, and just ran with it, like completely ran with it.
I try to explain it to my friends, like Bitcoin developers, and be like, no, like it's like they invented a account-based model on top of the UTXO-based model, and they're like. It takes like 3 or 4 times explaining it to them for them to understand the depravity of
it's
BRC20.
completely like orthogonal to UTXO model. Like it doesn't use it at all. Like it's just using the little space we made in the witness to put data onto Bitcoin, you know?
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is that the way that BRC20 works, it encourages you to make these transactions and create these UTXOs, but then there's no incentive to actually clean them up because the asset doesn't lie in the UTXOs. It lies in this, off ledger.
Yeah,
and it lies in the hearts and minds of degens around the world.
Yeah. Well, in the minds, I don't know if they have hearts, but so I think BRC20 is contributing enormously to UTXO bloat.
Which
is something that I don't feel great about.
I mean, I've been talking to some of these like people who run indexers, and they kind of recognize this. So
they kind of recognize.
Yeah, they kind of like
wow.
they're the tech people that actually do the coding are like, yeah, this is maybe not great.
Yeah, right.
So they have been like, oh yeah, maybe we need to change this like very soon before it gets too big and too unwieldy and too complex to like roll it back.
I don't know. I think it's kind of I think it's too far gone. I don't think they're going to be able to make any modifications to BRC20.
I thought you were gonna like maybe fix it.
I wouldn't fix it. I would do an alternative protocol.
Yeah, like there's no fixing BRC20
that was UTXO based. But I don't know if I want to dirty my hands with
I've
fungible
talked to people.
tokens.
They want to like create kind of a a cut, take over the state, and then create this new model out of that.
Right.
So all the indexers just kind of decide, okay, this is the state, and now we use a new way to do it.
Right.
So you kind of preserve not like backwards compatibility, but at least kind of the initial state.
I don't know if they'll be able to do that because there's still degens who are making BRC20 inscriptions. You're somehow going to get them all over to like go over to the new system.
It's an heroic effort. I don't know if
it is. I mean, it's essentially just like a speculation market, right? And so like if you have enough speculation and hype on something else, there is kind of no reason why you wouldn't abandon something. It's not like they're like that attached to BRC20. I don't.
Well,
really
I mean, the genius of BRC20 is that it doesn't require any infrastructure. Like I don't think Domo actually wrote any code. He just wrote the spec and then relied on people using existing inscription services. So if the new spec requires you to do anything complicated enough that you can't just mint tokens using existing inscription services.
Yeah.
Then
that would be. Yeah,
I don't know if they'll be able to convince. I don't know if they'll be able to convince people.
I mean, not having to set up any infrastructure. That's also kind of the beauty of ordinals and inscriptions because all the data is on Bitcoin.
Yep.
I don't know, with like Taproot assets or these RGB stuff. I think you have to run. This server.
Be careful with your mic. Don't
turn. Okay. Yeah. You have to like run your own server. You can't like use any data that is actually on Bitcoin. You have to like do it off chain. You only have kind of this commitment on chain and kind of like. Degens are not going to spin up a server for their little tokens,
It's pretty interesting. So yeah, we're talking about Taproot assets, which is an assets a token scheme by Lightning Labs, and RGB, which is by the LNBP Standards Association and Maxim Orlovsky and a few other people. And one big difference between those schemes and inscriptions is that for those schemes, you need to the transaction state is not on chain, and so you need to have a server, or some scheme for holding this data and passing it back and forth. And it's interesting. It's kind of a small requirement, but it might be, the difference between the protocol being widely adopted and not widely adopted, right? Like with inscriptions, people can just like spin up their wallet and like make some inscriptions and receive some inscriptions to their wallet, and they don't have to run a server. But if you have to run a server, it might mean that the scope is just dramatically smaller.
Yeah. That's true. So yeah.
So maybe BRC20 is here to stay.
Bro, I hope not. That'd be the saddest thing in the world if Taproot assets didn't get traction because BRC20.
So how do we funnel people into Taproot assets? Like how do we tell these degens, hey, check this out? This is actually.
I don't know. I don't think
it works like that.
Yeah, it's out of our hands.
You either have it or you don't.
But also, I think Lightning Labs need to do it. I think Lightning Labs needs to make a big like shitcoin casino website with like flashing colors and yeah. I wonder if there's some maybe somebody could spin up Taproot assets servers that would replicate all of the asset data, and then maybe that would. Mean that, okay, you can just rely on these sort of global servers.
But then you always have to, like, if you want to issue a new thing, you have to go to these central servers and be like, here, please take my new token.
Sure. Yeah. But maybe the total amount of data is small enough. Like, I think that, it should be always smaller than the Bitcoin block size. I'm assuming. I don't know if there's like an arbitrary amount of state per transaction that Taproot assets allows you to store, but if it is and it just winds up being like, okay, you have like twice the resources of a Bitcoin full node, then maybe one person can run.
Yeah.
Did you talk to any Taro or RGB people this week?
No, not this week. I don't think. I think they're serious adults that don't come to Token 49. I mean, this is like a degenerate hive of scum and villainy. I don't think that.
I guess so.
Yeah. Lalu is too pure to come
well,
here.
You would think because there was like the Bitcoin Builders event thing. That's why I would have thought like maybe there would be like if there's Singapore-based people that work on that like they would go to something like that.
I kind of get the feeling that that Taproot Assets is designed to support stablecoins on Bitcoin, and they're sort of focused on that niche. That niche, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if they have specific contacts or specific people who want to create stablecoins using Taro, but I don't know if they're like sort of mass marketing it to degens.
Yeah.
Like this whole token phenomenon is very like interesting. Like I've always been like, why do you need all these kind of tokens? But I mean, I think there's like this underlying gambling kind of.
That's right. Yeah.
Or overlying gambling.
How can
like
you?
Everyone wants to gamble. It's one of like the base instincts that humans have, like eating, fucking, and sleeping. You know, you just want to fucking gamble. You know,
eat, fuck, sleep, gamble.
Maybe not as
in the Garden of Eden, before man partook of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, he was in a state of nature, sleeping, eating, fucking, and gambling,
and degenning on OXBT.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I mean, listen. If you want to pump your bags, first you have to have bags to pump, and that means issuing a token.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. Token 2049.
What is it? 2049 and token 2049?
It's like Blade Runner. Blade Runner 2049.
And then what happens in 2049?
I would assume so. 2049, like Blade Runner 2049 is like the
I thought it was 1 plus 2048, which is 2 to the 11.
But what would the significance of that be?
Nothing.
Like y plus 1?
I don't know.
Because Blade Runner, I think that the old Blade Runner is set in 2020 or 2024 or something, but then the new Blade Runner, the Ryan Gosling one, is 2049.
I feel like they really should have hedged their bets and put it further out. 2049 is going to roll around, and everything's kind of going to look the same.
For Token?
The Blade Runner, the year that they put it in.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But the original one, which year was that?
I think it's like 2020 or 2024.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
So it's already already blown out of the water.
Yeah.
Like it's over.
Oh,
but I mean, Token 2049. I think they probably are right that by 2049 we're all
everything's
going to be
a
shitcoin
token
casino peddlers for our careers.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people are like they want a token for everything. They're bringing back fucking bartering. You're bartering your social tokens for your food tokens, and you're instead of just using fucking money. It just seems like they're building this really complex system that just brings us back to bartering.
Yeah.
It's the Tower of Babel. We're like trying to reach towards God, and God is
maybe
going to smite us.
God is like, no, you can't have money, have tokens.
Yeah.
Maybe Bitcoin was the Tower of Babel, and then it was destroyed by God for man's hubris, and we got all this token
we got all the shitcoin token
exactly.
casino. Yeah. I literally think that's true. Okay, so that's one impression of this week.
Yep.
What else? I love Singapore.
Singapore's great.
Nice, yeah.
Food's great in Singapore.
Singapore's making me realize how ideologically weak I am. I'm like, I don't have principles. Like, I love authoritarianism.
It's surprising how cheap the food is in Singapore.
So cheap.
Yeah, Singapore is #1 country by per capita GDP.
Really?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Like not like some Middle Eastern country like Oman or.
Nope, number one. Number one Singapore, number 2 like Liechtenstein.
Singapore #1.
Bro. I mean, I think basically it's because Singapore is a city. So
there's about 6 million people. Yeah,
6 million people. It's
it's like Norway. Everyone's like, oh, Norway's a witch, but it's like
Norway's not a real country.
It's like 3 million people. Like it's smaller than Berlin.
Yeah, true.
Or 4 maybe. It's a bit bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Singapore, very clean, very well functioning.
Great metro.
I'm scared to go back to San Francisco.
Dude, San Francisco looks like a fucking shit sandwich.
That's Blade Runner 2049. Actually, no. Blade Runner 2049 is like cypherpunk. So it would be Singapore if Singapore just took like a really dark turn. Like nuclear winter kind of dark turn.
Yeah. I think like walking around the city, like it just seems like the people here have a bit more of a vision of the future of like what you can create and what is possible. Like in Europe, it's often like, oh no, like it's all about conserving energy, and like they like my parents or people they come to like these cities in Asia and are like, oh, they're so megalomaniac, because they build big buildings. But it's like, bro, 100 years ago going to New York, that would have been like megalomaniac. Like back then, people had a vision, and then you go here, it's the same. But in Europe, it's kind of like I don't know.
You get your old cathedrals.
Yeah, you get your nice old cathedral, your nice walkable
and your
cities,
carbon credits,
and you're saving money on energy.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I do think like Singapore / like these kind of like major tech like cities in Asia, they have a vision for the future. Like that's exactly
a bit
right.
more. Yeah.
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 I mean, you know, even like it's like, okay, they've got like the greenery on the buildings.
These gardens,
They
like,
get the feng
hanging from
shui. Yeah, it's nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I see all the new housing and I'm so depressed. Like I'm like, God damn, why can't we build housing in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Like just like so much housing.
Yeah. No, it's
but it's very authoritarian, you know.
Yeah.
Very
Right.
centralized planning.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is- we went
But
to
you know,
the
it seems to
Museum
work
of Central
okay. So I guess
Planning.
I'm gonna have to become a fascist.
Yeah. I know you were already right on the line.
Right on the edge. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that don't seem great about Singapore, like having to get drug tested if you go on a vacation abroad. Just being
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
If you're like a resident or a citizen, that when you
So-
come from like Thailand or Amsterdam, you're gonna get drug tested at the border.
Yep.
At the border.
At the
At the
border.
border.
Yeah. And then I assume it's like a fine or jail time or
Fine
something.
or jail, something like
Or
that.
a caning.
Or a
Caning.
caning.
Yeah, I don't think they cane you for that.
I think
but-
that's yeah. Yeah,
Like, that's crazy. So they can like they can raise issue with you for something that you've done outside of their borders.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no weed
They-
is like tough for me. I don't know if I could do that. I mean, it's alcohol, caffeine, and nothing else, right?
Yep.
Nicotine.
Nicotine.
Cigarettes. Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
weird how cigarettes are legal, but vapes are not legal. Doesn't make any sense.
I also would expect that, you know, with a culture that doesn't allow for other drugs, that you would see people fucking smoking cigarettes everywhere, but
Mhm.
you really don't. Like,
Yeah,
I've
no, that's
barely
fun.
seen anyone smoking cigarettes.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think like people are like happy here?
I have no idea.
They seem
Probably. I
happy.
guess they're happy.
I was asking Raph, like, because I feel like America from like the 50s to the 80s was this like hyper consumerist, like optimistic society, like about like, yeah, you're going to get like your house, you're going to get your toaster, you're going to get like whatever, like all these things, and you're going to like fulfill this like American middle class dream. And then like in the 90s, we kind of got this like burnout counterculture, like Nirvana vibe that we're still sort of riding out in this like post-ironic kind of like angry way.
Yeah, America's post-ironic.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out, like, is that going to happen in Asia? Like right now, I feel like it's like you go to the mall and everyone's like, we love eating food and like buying cheap stuff and it's so awesome. But like, will there be like a counterculture generation that's like, fuck consumerism,
Nah,
and fuck
I
all
think they're
this
gonna
bullshit,
just fucking rip it forever.
rip
I
it
mean,
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years for Asia have been very good. Like,
Yeah.
like economically, they've been like growing double digits, and I think now it's slowly slowing down. And I, at least like from what I'm reading, is like the new generation is a bit like disillusioned. Like they're promised,
Yeah,
they were
well, I
promised
mean,
more. They saw their parents like ascend really quickly, and now it's like, you know, there's like a diminishing return and kind of like maturing economy, and now it's like not the crazy growth that you used to have. So maybe that I think that's when like stuff like that happens.
Yeah, it's just they're still kind of like riding, like maybe the inflection point hasn't like happened yet of like riding that curve up.
Yeah.
Good for them. I'm happy for them. At least someone's seems like they're thriving and optimistic about the future in this godforsaken world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Europe definitely does not have those vibes. America's like,
But Europe's
vibes.
nice. It's nice to live there. It's
Yeah,
cute.
yeah. I was think like, I mean, I feel like I could live here for a period of time. I think it would be hard for me to really assimilate to this style of authoritarianism, like long term.
No, I couldn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I could live here like maybe 6 months or something.
I feel like
just
you
for the
could live here. I
experience.
feel like you could vibe.
Yeah, the only thing that
No.
bothers me here is the heat.
The heat.
The heat is a killer.
AC
Just
is
out here
everywhere.
sweating balls. Yeah, I know, but like outside, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, love Singapore.
Yep, Singapore's
Thanks
good.
to Nakib and David showing us around.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Shout out. We got to learn so much about Singaporean, you know, corporal punishment.
Long conversation
How
about
many
caning last
canings
night.
about you went until you pass out?
Yeah,
Like,
maximum 24 per sentence.
maximum 24 then. Yeah.
That's so many.
Yeah,
That's
but I mean,
amazing.
I assume that that's like really bad. That's for like murder and kidnapping and shit.
Yeah.
I think murder's not that bad. I think drugs are worse than murder.
Mm.
That's what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smoke one joint, 24 canings.
No, I spoke to this one guy, like his girlfriend, or this one girl he went on a Tinder date with. She had a joint, and she went to jail for 4 years.
Fucking yikes.
And she just came out, like 4 years in jail. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Like
yeah,
for
that's a long
joint.
time. And I hear Singapore jail is not so fun.
I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
But I bet she's ripped now. I bet that she read so many books. This is like, I'm like fantasizing about jail now. I'm like, I want to go to jail and like eat healthy and read books and do deep
I don't think you eat
contemplation.
healthy in jail. Like the food is not like. At least
Maybe not
in the US.
healthy, but like, you know, not like unhealthily. Like
And I think there's a lot of shit you have to deal with in jail. Like I don't think it's like the peace and love that you
female
think
jail is not that bad. You know, like I wouldn't want to go to male prison. Definitely not. Definitely.
Yeah,
not.
dude. I don't know.
But female prison, like Orange is the New Black, is like fine. You know, it's fun.
You've been indoctrinated to love jail. Like the American system like prepares you to go to jail because so many people are in jail.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. Being in Singapore makes me realize how ideologically fragile and weak I am. Like, do I believe anything or do I just experience?
You go to one authoritarian country and you're like, I'm ready for jail. Send me to jail.
I'm like,
send me to jail, daddy.
Yeah, I mean, I can have a little authoritarianism as a treat, you know? But it is, I mean, the competitive governance thing that we were talking about, like, as long as you can leave, as long as you're free to leave, that's really the problem. Like, that's the issue with the Soviet Union. Like, is like, you just couldn't leave. Like, that's where it really sucks.
Yep.
Like, if you want to have a country that's, like, has all these psycho-ass rules and people seem to want to live there, then whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rules really only affect a relatively small proportion of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Singapore is like defined. Yeah, Singapore is sort of defined by competitive governance. Like, it's very small. It doesn't have any natural resources. It has to compete for its people to want to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all my thoughts on Singapore.
Yeah. Should we talk about ORD, the protocol, that shit?
Talk about ORD, the history of it.
The history.
Genesis. Is that interesting? I mean, we've talked about this story a
I
lot.
think it's interesting, like, I don't know, explain how you're a big Hell Money Pod fan and how Hell Money Pod led you to work on the I don't know, I think people probably haven't heard your, like, actual spiel. Just, like, you know. How did you find Casey? Actually, how did you get into Bitcoin? And, like, any of this? Like, what's your
I think I really got into Bitcoin in, like late 2019. Like, I'd heard about it before. I'd bought some, but I didn't really engage with it. And then I was hanging on Twitter, and somebody posted like a white paper. It was a couple months before the halvening, or a year out or something. And I was like, what the fuck is a halvening? And then white paper, and then I just got into the rabbit hole and kind of read up on it. And I also approached it very from like a technical side. I was studying computer science, and I was like, okay, I can actually run this on my computer. I might as well try it out. Like, this is the point of it, is like to actually use it.
I think being able to run it is really key. I remember reading about it. Me, like, and then I was like, it's like, okay, they say it works this way, but like, does it work this way? And then you run it and you're like, okay, yeah, I can see it's, you know, doing what it says it does.
I mean, at the time I was also like big into finance. Like, I was in this like finance club in the university, and I always thought like the financial system, there's so many like layers of abstraction. Like, what you actually own is like abstracted so far away. Like, you own a stock, but then there's so much in between. And then I just like saw Bitcoin as like a thing that I can like hold on my computer or a hardware wallet, and it's like holding a piece of gold in your hand, and you can like send it around. Like, that was very powerful. Like, the first couple months, that was very powerful to me. That really like motivated me to like really deep dive into it and kind of get into it. And then, you know, I started following people on like Bitcoin Twitter and people I thought were smart, and somehow you popped up. I don't know.
One note, you were already studying cryptography, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in cryptography, and like I took some courses, but I think only after Bitcoin. Like, at the time I was still doing like basic math courses, and then I think because of Bitcoin I was more.
I thought you had written like a thesis about a sort of a decentralized.
But that,
what was it? A decentralized certificate authority?
Yeah, that was my bachelor thesis. I don't know. I think that was after I had discovered Bitcoin.
Okay.
Or during that time, I don't know. So, I wrote like a thesis. Like, it's like I called it hot certification, because the consensus algorithm I was using was called hot stuff, and it was just like a way, a toy thing, or how I could imagine like a decentralized certificate authority, more in a sense that it is resilient to specific kinds of like attacks and failures, and that it like issues just like these normal X509 like certificates that you use on the internet, like when you visit a website. And it used like two parts with like a consensus algorithm and also like a threshold signing scheme to like then actually generate the signature. It's like I wrote it in Go. It's like I didn't use a database. I wrote everything into memory. It's like it's like a horrible thing. I don't even know if it runs anymore. But yeah, that was kind of my bachelor thesis. It was cool. I had a lot of fun. Like that was one of the most fun things in university. Like because my advisor gave me a lot of freedom. They were like, yeah, do whatever, use whatever language you want. And like I could do whatever I wanted, and I could really like deep dive into it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Did you have like a crypto phase, or were you always just like Bitcoin?
I was basically always Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What stopped you from going full shitcoin?
Like for me, I wanted to understand one thing really good, and like Bitcoin is already like intricate enough. But like if you get into shitcoin, like there's a lot of like there's this whole like theoretical like groundwork laid for all these white papers, and then you get into like this white paper reading, which like is exhausting. And I'd rather like have like understand Bitcoin and actually understand how to use it. So I really wanted to like learn the tools to actually use it. And if you get into shitcoins, you stay on this like very top level. Like you read the fucking white papers, you are also very abstracted from the thing. Like what I didn't like is all these layers of abstraction. I wanted to get to like the kernel of it, and Bitcoin kind of provided that for me. So I never really reached out too much into that. And then, of course, I don't know, much of my like reasoning also comes like from blog articles, like where they say it's not decentralized enough. Like I cannot really prove that for myself or like reason on myself bottom up, but I think people are smart and I kind of trust their reasoning. And then I never really got into shitcoins. I don't know why. Just like I wanted to like learn one thing, I guess, properly. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like usually people that are in it from more the technical standpoint, like sometimes they are more susceptible to go into crypto because they're like, oh, fast transaction times or whatever, like they like because I feel like, at least from my perspective, like the thing, well, there's many things I guess that make like Bitcoin better than other cryptos, but like the big one is like, well, does it solve like fiat, like the monetary thesis aspect?
Oh yeah, that was a big thing for me as well. Like, yeah.
So I usually think like, like crypto people that I've met that have been like smart and not like completely like have no idea what they're doing. The reason why they're into crypto is because they just think about it from a perspective of technical, like whatever, fast transaction times, technical efficiency, whatever it is. They're not like thinking about it from the perspective of like an economic or monetary perspective or a political perspective or like whatever.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to have like I really liked reading books, so I had a lot of context to kind of understand also like the economics part and the incentive part.
So how did you then Bitcoin. like if you were like in college or whatever in like finance club, like I feel like my impression of like academic economics is like it's all like Keynesian the whole way down, right? Like they're like, well, you can't have an economy based on Bitcoin or a deflationary currency. Like how did you even?
I mean, the finance club I was part of, it was very much like value investing kind of thing. So you would do like discounted cash flow analysis and like analyze stocks and kind of find like the true intrinsic value of stocks. It wasn't really much about macroeconomics, about like central bank policy and stuff like that. So it wasn't very influenced by Keynesian stuff, I think. More like Warren Buffett and that kind of stuff, like value investing. I don't know. And very traditional, like the crypto seemed sketchy to them. Like I was a bit odd one out there, interested in crypto or in Bitcoin. So yeah, the Keynesian stuff didn't really go there. And then, I mean, yeah.
You just got orange pilled.
I just got orange pilled, yeah.
That's nice. I'm just always surprised, like when I guess I should be surprised.
It clicked. I don't know. It was it's a drug. It's a hell of a drug. Like it's like this whole like theoretical construct that has been built up like by all these people writing about it, and then there's the structure you can go into and you can like kind of explore it, and it like buzzes the right areas of your brain, and it's like it's a drug. It's like it's like a drug.
I feel like once you like see things through a Bitcoin perspective, like for me, it's like I just like find myself all the time like in conversations with people where they're like wah, 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 wonk 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 about like whatever issue, and like I'm like, oh, Bitcoin fixes this, you know, like
yeah, exactly. It's like a simple answer to like the complexities of the world, you know. It's probably not the only answer, but it answers so many things, and like that I kind of perceived as being a little bit wonky and weird in the financial system or in the world. And it's like, and then there's Bitcoin. Like if we had this, it could solve many of those things.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if it will, but like that was at least my impression. And it was like, it's an easy thing to kind of, it's a what is it called? Like a shelling point, like something you naturally kind of converge to if you already are like a little bit skeptical of the system and stuff.
Yeah, I think like there's definitely a lot of Bitcoiners that take that too far, in the sense where like they just see like something they don't like and they're like, well, Bitcoin fixes this, and it's like whatever. Like
I think Bitcoin fixes a lot of things. Unfortunately, I think the world, like the hyper Bitcoinized world, looks a lot like the current world.
Yeah,
things are like, you know, a lot of things are better, a ton is better, right?
Yeah,
but doesn't fully, you know, solve the problem of like governments being shitty and people going to war and, you know, not knowing what to do. You know, governance is a hard problem. Like
and
no
it also doesn't solve
it.
Like inequality or anything. Like I think
right.
it's maybe even more unequal on a Bitcoin standard.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
mean, I think like proximity, like rich get richer stuff, I do think like Bitcoin kind of fixes that. Like proof of stake doesn't, right? Like that's always what I say to Ethereum people, like when they're like, well, why don't you like proof of stake? I'm like, I don't like rich get richer economic schemes. Like I don't like you have more coin, so you stake that large amount of coin, and that allows you to make more coin, more than anyone who stakes a smaller amount. Like to me, energy is like much more decentralized. It's much more like, you know, obviously like energy is still also like proximal to your wealth. Like if you have more wealth, you're going to be able to use more energy or buy more energy or whatever. But like it seems like a better scheme than just like literally like you having this coin means you have more control over the thing and can make more of that coin, which is like exactly how the current system works, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I also have been thinking a lot this week, like, you know, I think whether Ordinals is responsible for this or whatever other factors, like, or maybe this has just always been going on. Now I'm only just seeing it now because of Ordinals, but like this like building on Bitcoin kind of movement that seems to be happening right now, or that people are really promoting. Like I've kind of been like going back and forth about like, you know, the more people build on Bitcoin, adopt Bitcoin, like the bigger Bitcoin gets, like you're not all of those people are going to be like orange pill maxis, right? Like many of them like will not understand like the economic monetary thesis of it. Many of them will not like really get why Bitcoin is better than Ethereum or any other crypto or whatever. They're just going to be there because they're going to be there, like, cause it's a job or it's like whatever. And I think that's fine. And it's inevitable, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's just something I've been thinking about.
That's what adoption looks like, right? Adoption is like a lot of people who like, people don't believe in cell phones, right? They don't like, they're not like convinced by the ideology of cell phones. Cell phones do something useful for them, so they use them.
Yeah. Conceptually, this is a tool.
Yeah.
And we should just make Bitcoin a really nice tool to use, an easy tool to use.
Yeah.
The build on Bitcoin thing, I don't think that's going to survive for that long. I mean, what I'm talking about is the ordinals, like build on Bitcoin, like Bitcoin Fi, Ord-Fi, whatever. Like, I think that's just kind of a current meme to attract hype. And
I don't know. You would think that, but that's what crypto is. Like, that's what like tokenomics stuff is.
I mean, I've been thinking about this, like how do you bootstrap these kind of systems? Like, how do you initially finance all this like cryptography work, like creating hardware wallets? Like, how do you finance actually building out these tools? And I think like gambling is just like it's kind of the necessary evil to do it this way. Like. Because
man, I don't know. So many people just getting fucking wrecked.
Yes, but also in the normal financial system, people get wrecked. Like dumping on retail is like a thing in the financial system as well, you know?
Yeah, that doesn't make it okay.
Like you dump on retail and you take money from pension funds. That's how the real like financial system works, you know?
I mean, occasionally the real financial system actually invests in things that deliver actual value and return on their investment.
Do they?
Yeah, occasionally.
In principle, theoretically they do, but I think it's gotten too big.
Yeah, I mean they do. They do a lot. I think there's like sort of, you can distinguish the sort of the part of the financial system that's all just like weird ass derivatives and like it's super financialized. It's like finance all the way down. And then there's like commodities markets that are like, okay, those are okay most of the time, and like building building construction companies. I don't know what other real things
I don't know.
do, things like that.
Yeah,
sorghum trading, gypsum mills.
Yeah.
Big, containers of gingham cloth.
Real
coming
men's
from
work.
China.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm working too much in the virtual world. Like I want to create something that's like tangible, I want to like ship fucking cloth across the Pacific Ocean or something,
You want to be sailing the ship.
I always wanted to like go onto a container ship, just like a random container ship, and go somewhere.
You can do that.
Work on the container ship.
You can
book
it's
shitty work. Like,
you can
it's
book
really horrible.
You can
like,
book rides on container ships. Yeah,
nice.
there's actually it's pretty common. People do it just as like a different way of traveling.
Yeah, I think I would like to try it out. Like, I'm romanticizing it, but like it sounds kind of cool.
You're working in the digital containment container ship. No,
dude, that sounds
building transactions and organizing the sats around.
You're gonna be on a container ship working on Ord, and bro.
I mean, I think like whatever. Obviously, the physical world will never go away. You're always going to have like these physical commodities and physical.
God, don't tell me that. Come on.
You want to just dissolve into the cloud.
World to go away. Just like listen.
You're like, let me in the matrix, please. But like, I mean, I think like the physical world, obviously, like it's not going away. But I do think like, whatever, like it or not, we live in a time where we're like building out the digital world. And I'm sure like 100 years from now, people will look back and be like, wow, how cool would it have been to like be one of the pioneers of building out this digital space,
Yeah.
What if I could have been the Ordinals guy,
Yeah, wow. Okay.
He's like...
It's going to be the premier casino in the
Yeah,
future.
right. The number one casino.
Like, hey.
People telling their grandkids about, I got wrecked trading Ordinals back in 2023.
Or they, got to collect some of the greatest artworks of our generation.
The Bitcoin frogs, the greatest artworks that have ever been created.
Oh my God, the frog guy. One of the frog guys told me that. Okay, remember how when we made the inscribing tutorial? I don't know if you remember this, but when we made the inscribing tutorial, like for Hell Money, where we were like screen recording on my computer, we were looking at ordinals.com and we were just like clicking through inscriptions and stuff, and there was like a frog, like one of the Bitcoin frogs there. And you were like, oh, this little frog here. And I remember when you said it, I was thinking like, oh, the Bitcoin frogs people are going to like freak out over this, obviously, because you were just being like, oh, wow, nice little frog here. I like that, blah, blah, blah. One of like the frogs people came up to me yesterday and said that they saved us that frog and he'll send it to me. Casey's having an existential roller coaster.
No, this whole thing's been an existential roller coaster.
That's what I mean, yeah. Lots of high highs and low lows.
I hitched my wagon to you, Casey. Like
I know, yeah.
No, it's okay. Your lead maintainer now. My wagon is hitched to yours.
Yeah, true.
True.
Yeah.
Fucking up the code base, your pristine code base.
We're pretty close to done. What do we have to do? We've got like a few features.
I mean, there's more features you can build out.
Offset, title, description, metadata.
I mean, we can put the data into another part of the witness.
You mean put it into the annex?
Yeah, we can put it into the annex.
Yeah, I mean that's long term. Like
that would be pretty cool because then it's only one transaction, it's not commit reveal.
That would be okay. That'd be okay.
And it makes a lot of the like wallets and kind of building of transactions a lot easier.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but the problem is like the annex thing is not a standard transaction yet.
Yeah, so. Yes. So for background, the inscriptions are in Taproot scripts, and so this requires a commit and reveal pattern to create an inscription. You first have to commit to the Taproot script that contains the inscription, and then you need to spend from that Taproot script, that script path, revealing the inscription. But there's this other thing in a Taproot transaction called the signature annex, and that is unstructured data. You can put whatever you want there. And if we stuck inscriptions in the signature annex, then it would only be a single transaction to create an inscription, which would be nice because the wallet is currently all the transaction construction is very complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I did the wallet basically. You were like, you do the wallet. I do the protocol stuff. I remember
we
whoa,
did, of course, bro, whoa. I did plenty of the wallet with you. What are you talking
you were
about?
always like, oh, this is heinous. I can't do this. Like, please, you do the wallet stuff.
Yeah, listen, that may have happened more than once. But yeah, so it's the wallet. The creating transactions is disgusting because you've got to do these commit and reveal transactions, and they like depend on.
And
each
you
other.
have to track the inputs.
Yeah, and they get stuck.
Like who split stuff and merge stuff.
Yeah, who knows how many inscriptions are stuck in the mempool?
Oh yeah,
probably a ton.
Is there a way of finding that out?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if you could see inscription transactions stuck in the mempool.
Yeah, probably. I mean, so yeah, the protocol, like, there's not many features left, or like we could probably finish that up quite quickly. But like building out the wallet, I think is a big thing.
Like, the wallet, and
like
also
making it more integrated into existing kind of Bitcoin tools. Like we can't RBF at the moment. Like we can't like do any like fee bumping on inscription, at least with our wallet. You know,
it also be very nice to create PSBTs offering inscriptions for sale and be able to post those to the Explorer.
Yeah, there's a lot of tooling that you can build out, like from a protocol perspective, not so much, but tooling. Like,
absolutely.
And also like a graphical kind of user interface for Ord.
Is there anything else in the protocol that I'm missing? Offset, which allows you to make multiple inscriptions per transaction by efficiently controlling, where inscriptions land. Metadata, which I sort of have a PR up. I kind of want to pull title and description out so that those are like dedicated fields. Because those are just so natural. Like everything is a title and description. Although maybe I'll leave it to the metadata. I don't know. Whatever.
There's more recursive endpoints that we have to kind of think about how to carefully design. It's not necessarily core part of the protocol, but kind of because these are like fixed endpoints. Like once they're set, you kind of change them. So we have to kind of really carefully think about how to design those.
But is that it? Is there anything else?
Yeah. And then just trading them. And
it's going to be great once the protocol is done.
Yeah. Then it's easier to build tools for it.
Yeah.
Is Parent-Child out now?
Yeah, Parent-Child is out.
Have you announced that or no?
Yeah, I released it, but it was like late in the evening. Yeah. I wanted to write a Twitter thread, but I forgot.
Yeah, people just texted me and I was like, what?
And like, it's kind of a big deal, but like I didn't announce it at all. Like I'm not being a good lead maintainer.
Yeah. You flops.
Yeah, maybe I'll write something up when I'm back from Singapore. It's just
I know.
Yeah.
We've been busy. Girl
here.
bossing. So severely.
Living the authoritarian dream.
Yeah. Eating really good food.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did authoritarianism create like the hawker market, food?
It sort of did. The hawkers used to be, outdoors on the street. Yeah. And then they built hawker centers and brought centrally planned the hawker centers.
Forced people into the hawker centers.
Brought the hawkers
the free market on the streets.
The cruel, slings and arrows of outrageous Singaporean streets or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to leave the hawker centers. I was going to ask if you have advice for people. Like, I don't know. I feel like you're in kind of a...
Advice.
Like, what's your wisdom? What's like what's your takeaway from your experience over the last year or whatever?
My takeaway from the experience.
Because you started working with Casey maybe a year ago, right?
Yeah. I started working, like my primary motivation at that point was like I wasn't like, oh yeah, Ordinals, like this is gonna revolutionize Bitcoin. I thought it was a cool idea. I kind of wanted to work on something with Bitcoin, and like contributing to Bitcoin Core seemed like just a daunting task because it's like so complex and like, so many layers of, I don't know, whatever. Like it seems way too complicated. And I wanted to do something in Rust. So yeah, it was very like not crazy like these high-minded motivations like I want to change the world. It was more like, oh, I like working with Casey. I want to work in Rust. Seems kind of cool. And I wanted to earn some money. But yeah, like, and like that whole experience just, I guess I got lucky. I don't know.
How did you find Casey? Like, I don't think, we even talked about
just
that.
Twitter, right?
Just Twitter. Like I was following Casey. I saw he was working on this Ordinals thing. Didn't really know any.
Didn't we talk in a Twitter space?
Yeah, we talked in the Twitter space. There was like 5 people in the Twitter space.
Yeah, that's also how I kind of met Liam. Liam.
Oh yeah.
My previous apprentice. I think I posted like got some Clubhouse invites. Does anybody want one? And Liam was like, oh yeah, I'll take one. And then he joined Clubhouse, and then we wound up talking just randomly.
Oh, you were on Clubhouse?
Yeah, not like actively. And then me and Liam wound up talking in a Clubhouse space for a while. I think it's really interesting. Like I actually think that having a voice conversation with somebody goes a long way to figuring out that they're like not a spaz and smart and conscientious, and kind of sets them apart from the Twitter crowd.
Yeah, I think how we started was like I was looking at Ord and tried to run it on my computer. It didn't work for some reason.
Probably something wrong with your computer. Ord is flawless software that's never had any bugs.
Perfect.
And then we were kind of debugging in the Twitter space. Like there was like maybe 6 people in there, and then everyone left because we were just talking about tech
content for everybody else.
But that's how we started talking, and then I sat down, learned some Rust, and then I started. I think the first thing I contributed to was the clock.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just like front end stuff, like some SVG, like changing the colors, showing the block height in the clock. It's like, yes, I'm an open source contributor now.
I think we posted like the ordinal theory episode, like the first time that you really talked about ordinals on Hell Money was August. Because I remember I actually rewatched that recently, like before we started doing season 2 again. I was like trying to refresh. Like I was like, wait, what was the vibe? Like whatever. And in that episode, which I think we posted it like mid-August, you said like, oh, like I have an apprentice but he's going back to school, like I actually am looking to hire someone else if you like want to code and run, like you like advertised the job that like eventually
I
saw that episode.
I was pretty lucky, like found Liam randomly, and then Liam went back to school, and then in short order found another apprentice, and I'm 2 for 2 on apprentice quality. I haven't had a dud yet.
But yeah, because I think you started working with Casey in like September or something. So
I mean, I followed Casey, and then I saw he was doing this Hell Money podcast, and I went to looked at some episodes, and you had like 3, 4, 5 views maybe. I was like 3, 4, 5 views. Yeah, there was always like 3 views, 5 views. I think no more than 10, to be honest. We
definitely would get 100 views per episode.
Listen, it's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love. Yeah, look how much he loves this.
But you found the right people through that podcast, because that podcast really showed me, like, I was like, damn, they're dropping so much alpha in these podcasts. Like, what the hell? Why are not more people like working or watching this?
Yeah.
And then I kind of was motivated to kind of then like, learn Rust and work for you.
Yeah, nice.
So that was the funnel. That was the sales funnel. Like, she built up a very good funnel. I was funneled right in.
Listen, Aaron's funnel is legendary.
Oh,
fuck. I do think it's like, the nice thing about having a podcast, like I never was really trying to make a podcast that I thought would be mainstream popular. Like I wouldn't do a Bitcoin podcast if I wanted something to be like mainstream popular. Like already you're kind of like niching yourself into like a small group of people. But I felt like Casey had something to say, and I was like, Casey should have his opinions documented. Also, you're a good writer, but I feel like the way that you speak is really, really good. Like just like having like your explanations of things, like especially like I don't think I would be. I don't know if I wouldn't be a Bitcoin maxi. I probably would be a Bitcoin maxi regardless, but definitely through talking to you so much, I feel like my Bitcoin education was like I feel like I've had like 5 years of Bitcoin education condensed into like 1 year just because I've talked to you so much, you know? And like, I think having that documented was like something that I was like, okay, this is worth documenting, like just sort of like your expertise or whatever, like perspective on Bitcoin. You're technical, but you're also like not like you have opinions, like you're not just like I
don't know, sometimes it feels like that.
Well, sometimes you are like that, yeah, and I like my eyes glaze over and then like whatever, but for the most part, like you kind of like you're good at like metaphors and stuff, right? Like you're good at like breaking things down in a way that I think people can understand. And then also like for me, I feel like it's nice to be able to explain myself to people without having to have individual one-on-one conversations with each person. Like for example, like Ordinally, who not here but is here in Singapore with us, like I feel like Ordinally met me and like instantly like knew what I was like, what my vibe was, what I was about, because like he watched every episode of Hell Money. And like to be able to have, and now like I love him, like we talk like every day, and like he's like an important person in my life, and like without having like the context of the podcast, like I'm sure we just wouldn't have gotten as close, right? So like, yeah, I think it's nice to have like documentation like this of like, this is like this person's vibe, this is this person's opinions and perspective and like whatever, and then it's like it's like a good filter for like, yeah, finding people like Raph or Ordinally or whoever else, you know. It's nice. I've made so many good friends through having a podcast. And even though it's like, it's kind of funny because it's sort of parasocial. It's like, I don't know like necessarily them, but then it's like, they're so much better at knowing how to like become friends with me because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Parasocial is real.
Parasocial. I'm learning a lot of new words hanging out with you guys.
Oh yeah. Like Raph is just getting like a full education on like the dark, depraved sides of the internet through me.
He's learning great vocabulary from me. Lout, I think.
What's lout?
Oh, lout is like
an uncouth.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Uncouth
is also
a lout.
Okay, so you're going in kind of a different direction. I'm like showing Raph who Trisha Paytas is. Like.
Yeah, it's wild what the internet has to offer. But I'm working in a degenerate part of the internet now as well,
yeah,
so
you
I
need
better
to degenerate a little bit.
I need to learn the language, you know.
Yeah.
It's all about learning the language.
Yeah. Well, we probably have like, I don't know, 5 minutes left or so. Like anything else that we should talk about? I don't know, parent-child is out. Maybe Raph will write a Twitter thread.
Yeah, write a Twitter thread. Like right now it's not very practical because we don't have batch inscriptions or offsets. So you have to like one after the other, like sequentially inscribe your collection.
Yeah, for those who don't know, parent-child, really we should start calling it provenance.
Yeah.
I think provenance is the way that you can have on-chain provenance where you can know who created an inscription. And so the way it works is that an inscription can designate a parent inscription, and that parent inscription must be controlled by the person who's making the new child inscription. And then you can see, okay, the person who held this parent inscription was the one who made this child inscription, and lets you do collections and all sorts of other kinds of on-chain relationships.
Yeah, what do you think of the name genetic provenance?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah.
I think someone else came up with that.
Yeah, I do think somebody else came up with that.
Credit them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to dox them.
Yeah. But yeah, good on the person who came up with the genetic provenance.
What?
No, I said good on the person.
Oh yeah, good on the person. Yeah. I thought you said the name.
No.
Okay,
You're like, shh.
Yeah. I already have the title for the Twitter thread.
Nice.
How do I accredit? Do I ask them? Like, can I use this phrase?
Oh, I think if we're thinking of the same person, I think they're thrilled that you would.
Okay.
Wait, who is it? I'll bleep it.
No, let's not play that game. Come on.
Wait, I want to know.
Yeah, but you're gonna forget to bleep it.
Yeah, you're gonna forget.
I actually don't think I would. I think I'm good at editing. You know, I go through.
I'll just tell you later.
Fine. Well, we're in Singapore for like another day, right? We're like trying to go to some penthouse tonight to
some rooftop.
See if we can see the Formula One cars.
Yeah, this is a crazy like week in Singapore. There's so much going on.
It's insane. Yeah. It's very crazy, but I'm having fun.
This is how the rich people live.
Yeah, this is how the rich people live. That's like
the crazy rich Asians.
Yeah. The other half of the world, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, loving it. It's been nice to like hang out with everyone in person. I think it's like, I don't know, doing everything remotely. I mean, obviously Casey and I are in person together a lot because we live in the same place, but you know, for the most part, like everyone that I do stuff with is like not where I am, you know, and it's like nice to actually like all get together physically and just like bond and hang out.
You see all these like Twitter people like they have like hideous PFP pictures, but then in person they're actually pretty cool. Yeah. But if I see their Twitter profile, I'm like, damn, like what is this? Like, but in person they're really cool.
Everyone is better. Like
in person they're so much cooler. I'm like these are actually cool people.
Everyone is so much better in person. I literally can't think of a single person that I've met that I've been like, wow, their Twitter is better than like their personality in person.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently it's like the exact opposite of that, where I'm like, oh, that person actually is not a terrible person, you know?
Yeah.
It's the way of the world.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks Ordinal Summit for having us in Singapore. It's been awesome. Next up, Amsterdam.
Describing
Amsterdam.
Yeah, describing Amsterdam.
Do we do a discount code for the people watching this video?
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah.
Could we? Whatever.
Just make up a discount code.
Yeah, let's just do like hell.
HMP.
I don't know if I can make it that short. I think maybe it has to be 5 letters.
5 letters?
5 letters.
Hell
Why
money.
not Hell Money?
Hell Money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do Hell Money. 10%.
Hell money, all caps, all one word. Discount code.
Hell Money, all
gets
caps.
you 95%
10%.
off. Is that the
You heard it here first.
Inscribing Amsterdam.
October 14th. It's on an eclipse.
Damn, is that good or bad?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
But yeah, it should be fun. I feel like you know, it was nice being able to like come to Ordinals Summit and kind of like see like, okay, they did this, like this is how they did this, I like this, I don't like this, you know, like for like our own event. Ours is definitely going to be very like art and culture focused, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be
it's
really
gonna
nice.
be sick. We're just gonna have an awesome party. We're just creating vibes, Bitcoin vibes. That's really the goal here.
We're building a brand here, yeah.
We're building a brand. Ordinals. That's the brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on the pod, Raph. Always good to
Yeah, sure.
you know,
Glad
squad.
to be on my favorite podcast.
I know.
Since the first episode I watched, I've always wanted to be on, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you actually watch now that like you just hang out with me and Casey, or is it like, because I feel like I would get sick of hearing,
I think
like, especially Casey, like you talk to Casey all day, like
yeah.
you know, like you talk to Casey and then you log off with Casey and then you like listen to an hour of Casey. Like, do you actually still watch it and listen to it now or no?
The drive chain one,
Yeah.
I watched like the first 10 minutes.
And then you were like, fuck it.
No, it's good, but like I don't know, it's like there's so much other content on the internet. I would talk to you all the time.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying. Like I can't.
like, I haven't looked at have you uploaded the new one?
No, I still need to
okay.
upload it. You need to do your parent-child thread. I need to upload the Ordinals Q&A.
yeah.
How money?
I want to see what Casey has to say about I want to see
we cover a lot of ground on that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
pretty. It's
I'm definitely gonna go through that maybe at 2x speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you watch this one, or do you not like hearing yourself talk?
Why would you watch a podcast that you had been on?
I do it all the time.
I think
Jesus.
I think I'd skim through it.
Really?
Have you never watched
No.
How Many Podcasts?
No.
He's like not a fan.
God, why would I?
I think I'd skim through it.
I'll like rewatch like episodes and be like, I'm so funny. But yeah, no, this is it's good to have you on. And,
Yeah, thanks.
Till next time, and see you in Amsterdam and whatnot. And
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
all right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.